Hi, I'm Marc Farron. I'm the IT consultant at the SBDC at FGCU down in Fort Myers, Florida. I hope everyone's fine today. I'm going to be presenting on the 10 steps to securing your virtual business. Thank you for joining. Okay, well, the virtual office seems to be here to stay. 80% of global and probably more of the environment of our workforce has shifted to a virtual or mixed atmosphere. 64% of organizations say that they will most likely have some virtual teams remain permanent, and that might even be more further on down. So as we come back to the new normal, it certainly won't be like the old one. There we go. Okay. 75% of virtual teams say that they are actually more effective now in a virtual environment than in the old brick and mortar going to work environment. And 62% of employees say they might think of resigning from a co-located organization to a company that offers remote work. So even from a co-located organization, people prefer it and people are enjoying it more. So the new term is the hybrid office, and I think that will be the new normal, where we'll be going to work at certain times and certainly staying home more Teams meeting, more hybrid, more Zoom meetings. Large enterprises like Salesforce.com are reducing their commercial real estate space. People are taking out cubicles and creating more collaborative workspaces. So certainly the whole virtual office is here to stay. The bad news is, as you can see, and this is an amazing statistic, that there has been a 300% increase in cybersecurity attacks over the last year during this COVID outbreak. 300%. It was horrible before. We are certainly at war now. We are literally at war, at a cybersecurity war right now. And a lot of it has to do with this virtual workforce. So for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to go over 10 steps, 10 easy steps that you could take that would do a drastic amount of good in terms of securing your virtual workspace. For the small office and the home office, these will be practices that you can implement almost immediately. For our mid-sized companies with 50 or 100 or 300 or 400 employees, these will become policies that have to be implemented. So it's a little bit of a heavier lift, a little bit of a longer runway, something that will take a little more time, but something that definitely needs execution. So let's go through these 10 steps. The first thing is physical privacy. People have moved from the office to home. They very often don't have a secure location. Most people don't have their own dedicated office. Many people don't have their dedicated desktop, their dedicated PC or notebook. They're working on a notebook which, when they walk away, maybe their teenage daughter goes on and goes to a website to download free pictures and movies that is compromised in some way. This is a horrible thing. As much as you can, create, well, I'll use the word firewall, a wall between your office and work experience and your home experience. Have a screen lock. So if you walk away from your computer for 2 or 3 minutes, someone has to re-enter their own password so that they're not getting into your secure space on your computer. Shredding paper. Get a good shredder. Don't get a cheap shredder. Get a good shredder and shred all confidential information. This whole physical privacy space, trying to secure your computer, trying to make sure that your other family members aren't going in and logging in with the same passwords. This is critical to your success, to your success in terms of cyber safety. Slow down, be careful, stop before you click. This is huge. Everyone has ADD once they get on the web, once they get into Outlook and Gmail. Everyone's busy once they start to get into these places. Slow down. Phishing accounts for more than this is from CSO magazine, 80% of cybersecurity attacks. It's probably greater than that. That is probably an understatement. It's probably more than 90%. So the vast, vast, vast majority of cyber attacks are now coming through simulated email, through email accounts that look like they're coming from Wells Fargo or Bank of America or a free 12 pack of cookies from someplace, but they're not. This is how hackers are coming in. This is how ransomware starts. Slow down. Do not click on everything. Stop before you click on an attachment. Stop before you click on a hyperlink. Take a look at it. This is critical. This is probably the most important thing you can do. Keep up with updates. Keep up with patches. When your Windows machine says there's an update, please reboot. Stop, reboot. If one of your applications, QuickBooks on-premise, says there's an update, stop, do the update. When these companies send out updates, they publicize it, they're sending out updates, and they publicize why they're sending up, what they have fixed. And 80–90% of the fixes are holes. So they're saying, gee, there was a hole in this operating system. There was a hole in Outlook, but we patched that hole in the update. So they're telling the hackers, they're telling the black hackers, they're saying, here's where there is someplace right over here. You can go, here's the door right over here. And you could go just find someone who hasn't patched that door, who hasn't fixed that door. There are millions of people out there, and you could walk right through. So as soon as you get an update release statement, act on it. Number 4, create and use unique passphrases. You'll notice I don't use the word password. My dog has fleas. Don't use dog, 1, 2, 3. Use a phrase that's long, 10, 12, 15 words. Do not repeat passwords. Do not get it. So if someone, and they just, in the last month, someone hacked into Facebook, got everyone's password, you don't want to use the same word for a Facebook that you use for your bank account, because now they have the password to your bank account. One good piece of advice, check out a password manager. A password manager creates passwords for you, enters it for you. I've mentioned a few here, LastPass, Keeper, Dashline, these are all good. And then you only have to remember the password for the password manager. So this would be a good workaround for you and your team. Number 5, two-factor authentication. Wherever there is a site, wherever there is an app which has the functionality of two-factor authentication, use it. Every bank, every credit card, use it. GoDaddy has two-factor authentication. GoDaddy got hacked over a month ago. Your password on GoDaddy is on the dark web right now. Change your password, but besides that, use the two-factor authentication. This alone, this two-factor authentication, is a phenomenal solution for reducing cybersecurity attacks. This alone will do huge benefits for you. You can leverage authenticators. Microsoft, Google, Cisco has Duo. So this, especially if you have a larger company and you want to implement two-factor authentication company-wide, and you have people that are bitching or moaning, and I gotta get a password and then enter these 5 numbers. This is something, the authenticators or it goes right to your phone. You just click yes, it's me, and you're done with. It drops that two-factor authentication from 20 seconds down to 5 seconds. So it's frictionless security, as we call it in the business. Nothing's frictionless, but it's more frictionless than entering 5 or 6 numbers. Establish encryption. So encryption is a secret language, a language that you and the other person on the other side know. So, Morse code, Pig Latin. I remember when we were kids and you used Pig Latin, and you would know it and your friend would know it, but the other people around wouldn't. It's that kind of thing. So people talk about encryption in transit as it's going through the pipe, as it's going from your PC to the internet, and then maybe back to somebody else if they're downloading something. And encryption at rest. You have a Word doc. Someone comes in there, it's an important document that has important confidential information. You would want to encrypt that. So if someone gets into your computer and gets into that document, they still can't read it. Microsoft Office, like Word and Excel, has tools. You can go to help or Google it or whatever, but it has tools so that you can encrypt a document. Most things are encrypted in transit now due to secure socket layer, due to the fact that most websites now are far more secure and incorporate what's called SSL, secure socket layer, which creates this encryption in transit. Deploy a VPN, a virtual private network. This also ensures that your data is encrypted in transit. It also masks your IP address and puts in another IP address. So if someone is trying to hack into you, they can't figure out where you are. They're kind of lost. It ensures your privacy. If someone's saying, who sent that message, or if someone trying to spook you, they won't be able to figure out where you are or who you are. A lot of people have feel that VPNs are less valuable now, as I said, because websites are fully encrypted in transit using SSL. But still, like that coffee shop effect, you're at a coffee shop and you're using the corporate Wi-Fi, and someone creates a different Wi-Fi, and you're actually going to their Wi-Fi instead of the Starbucks Wi-Fi. With a VPN, your stuff would be encrypted right from the get-go, so no one will be able to see that. I give an example of a VPN. Mozilla has a good one. I've been using it for years. It's about $5 a month. It works pretty well. Some VPNs are a pain in the butt to work and actually slow you down considerably. So you got to watch out which VPN you don't want what we call latency to the VPNs. Okay. Anti-malware, anti-spam, this kind of secure software. Now, Windows comes with Defender. Windows always has had a native antivirus program for years. It traditionally was not that great. They have improved it immensely. Microsoft has improved immensely their whole security suite and what they give away for nothing because they are fighting against Apple, who everyone thinks is more secure, so they got to spend some money on it, and they did. So I think Defender is a good native antivirus. Don't forget your phone. Get an antivirus protection for your phone. Your phone is just a computer in another form factor. They're all the same, the phone, the tablet, the PC. They're all access to confidential information. So they're all vital for your work. So phone security is huge. And if you're a larger company and have corporate phones, security management for phones is huge. I can't get into it now, but it's a very, very, this is how they're going to hack you. They're going to hack you through their phones. Number 9, backup. Backup is critical. I've been in IT for an extremely long time, and there's always not quite, but since I've been in IT, there's been the 3-2-1 premise for backing up. Do 3 backups, 2 on-site, 1 off-site. So you have your original thing, then you back it up on-site, and then you back that one up off-site. Different media. Of course, now we have the cloud, so we have the off-site. Very often now we're writing directly to the cloud where we have our information in OneDrive, but you still want to back that up. You might want to back from cloud to premise as opposed to the traditional premise to cloud. And understanding the difference between backups versus journaling versus ghosting. There are distinctions here. Backups usually are just about data and they're just a snapshot. But what if, you're taking a backup every day and someone came in and said, gee, 2 weeks ago, someone changed this Word doc and I got to get that old version. Well, we have a backup from yesterday, but we don't have a backup from 2 weeks ago. So journaling actually creates multiple backups with different dates. So you can go, gee, we have one from 2 weeks ago. We have one from yesterday, the day before, or 2 weeks ago. So we can get that version, that Word doc from 2 weeks ago, and before it was changed 4 times. So that's journaling. Again, both of these backup and journaling have to do with data. But if the old, mid-market company, and I have a rack with 4 PCs and a bunch of stuff, and the sprinkler system goes off in there, gee, I have a backup of my data, but what about those computers and the operating system and the middleware and the database? Well, ghosting takes a backup of the whole machine. It takes a snapshot of the entire machine, so you could just replicate that entire machine, including the operating system and everything, just to kind of replicate it back, not just the data, but all of the other software to make that data come alive. So backup is critical. It is the best answer for ransomware. Having near continuous backup, really recent backup, is the greatest solution to being hit by ransomware. And lastly, when in doubt, leverage the cloud. The 3 big providers are AWS, Microsoft, Azure Cloud, and Google Cloud. Software as a service. QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks on-premise. Things like that. These companies know and spend more on security than you do or that you will. Okay? So I know I speak to small businesses and they go, they're not going to come after me, they're going to come after Google. They're going to come after Microsoft, so I don't want to leave myself with them. The answer to that is no. They're going to come after you, and they're going to come after Microsoft. And Microsoft is better equipped to combat them than you are. And I just want to conclude by saying you still have, even if you move your data to the cloud, even if you're using Salesforce, or you're using Office 365 or Google Docs or whatever, you still have liabilities and responsibilities. It's still your data. It's still, if something goes bad, you can't just blame it on Google. It's still your stuff. You still have responsibilities. You might have less responsibilities. You might not have servers that you have to take care of now if you're using Salesforce. It's their servers, but it's still your data in some way, and you're still responsible for it. It's still privacy concerns, compliance concerns, all of those issues. Moving things to the cloud does not take away responsibility. Okay. I'm wondering if there are any questions. I'm going to stop my share for a second just so I could take a look. Okay. So once again, I'm wondering if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Mark. This is Ann. We have a question from one of our attendees and wants to know, do you have any advice or resources for encryption?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I would say start off with with the tools that Microsoft gives you. So, and again, I don't know if you can see, but my email address is mfarron, F-A-R-R-O-N, @ftcu.edu. So if I don't answer your questions totally, you could certainly email me. It'd be my pleasure if I don't answer them to your satisfaction. But I would start off with the tools that are embedded in Microsoft Office. Again, if you go to the help or if you Google around encryption, Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, it's not that hard. It is not that difficult. And then beyond that, um, Office, Windows has its own encryption tools. So you could encrypt things, Windows, the operating system. You could encrypt a file or you encrypt an entire directory, or you can encrypt an entire drive. And Microsoft has those tools within its operating system. I hope that helped.
Yes, thank you. We have another question, and you may have kind of answered it with the last one, but what about Wi-Fi? How do you isolate computers at home?
I don't know if you have to worry that much about it at home in terms of Wi-Fi. Depending on what you have, the type of connection that you have, your provider, your internet provider like Comcast or CenturyLink or whoever your provider is, and depending on, you might be able to create 2 or 3 different Wi-Fi hotspots out of your one device. But I don't think that would be necessary. I would change the home Wi-Fi password, let's say every few months, because you go out giving that out to people. People come in and say, what's your Wi-Fi? And then they leave. And so I would say every 6 months change that. But I wouldn't, if you're at home, I wouldn't worry about creating more. If you're in the office, I would definitely create 2 Wi-Fis, one public and one private. So if you have guests coming in, there's a guest Wi-Fi that is excluded from your network. So they can get on the internet, but they can't get into your network, as opposed to the staff, which would be the private Wi-Fi where you can get into your network.
Okay, thank you. We have several questions. I don't know if we're going to get through them all, but as Marc said, you can reach out to him directly or go to his profile and reach out to him there as well. Marc, how do you secure your phone? What's your advice on that?
Yeah, so again, I would get, I'm a consultant with the SBDC, so we're not supposed to give out particular things like get semantic or get malware bytes or something. But I would get an antivirus program for your phone. It's a yearly subscription. And very often, if you get an antivirus, it comes with, you can put up to 5 different devices that you put on your computer and your phone and your tablet and whatever. And I would get a VPN. Again, I would use malware bytes. The problem with you want to get a good VPN for your phone because you want to be able to turn it on and off. Because again, when I have you got to turn it off to use your GPS, because if you use the GPS, the phone thinks you're in Atlanta or someplace else when I'm really at Fort Myers, because that's the whole point of the VPN to kind of spoof where you are. So it doesn't work very well if you want to use the GPS. So you got to be able to turn it on and off easily, but it's worth it, for those few times. So you want to get a good VPN for your phone. Again, I use Mozilla. I've been using for a number of years.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have time for one more question. We have several out there, but most of them are related to specifically products. And I think that you just mentioned you can't recommend specific products.
Yeah.
So they wanted to know, such as, is Window Defender good enough to protect my computer, or should I have another antivirus as backup? What do you think of Norton, and do you have a preference? So again, I understand as best you can answer it without specific recommendations.
Yeah, no, it's very, I am not supposed to give you a particular product for a few different reasons. One is we're not supposed to give you a specific product, but I have also found that, what's good one year might be, Semantic was top of the charts, and then it became what's called bloatware. It got so huge that it was taking up a lot of processing power and slowing down computers, so it became went from first to worst, and now it's much better again. So I might say Norton's great, and 6 months from now they change something and it's horrible. So that's another reason why these things kind of vary, like everything else. Defender's an excellent product, and I have no problem going native. In other words, just using Defender. It is an excellent product to have. I wouldn't have said that maybe 3 years ago. I'd say it now. So I would say that. I would say for your PC, Defender is a good product.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I believe we are out of time. So if you just want to close us out, Marc, and we'll be moving on.
Yeah. Again, it's mfarron at fgcu.edu. It was my pleasure, and thank you so much.